In the vibrant city of Davao, Philippines, lived an 8-year-old boy named Miguel Santos, whose laughter echoed through the narrow streets like music. Unlike other children who spent their days playing basketball or running barefoot in the alleys, Miguel carried a secret gift that left people speechless. He could imitate animals so perfectly that anyone who listened thought they were real. It began as innocent fun, copying the barking of neighborhood dogs and the playful chirping of birds, but soon his neighbors gathered just to hear him perform. Every afternoon, outside their small wooden house, people clapped and cheered as Miguel entertained them, his face glowing with joy. His mother, who worked tirelessly as a street vendor selling fruit at the market, often told him, "Miguel, you don't just make people laugh, you make them forget their troubles." Those words became his treasure, a reminder that his little voice carried the power to heal sadness. But life in Davao was not easy. Miguel's family lived day to day, struggling with bills and food, yet he never lost his cheerful spirit. One afternoon, his schoolteacher noticed his talent during a school program and encouraged him to share it beyond their community. Soon, news spread of auditions for America's Got Talent, and though the journey felt impossible, Miguel's mother sold a few belongings and saved every peso she could to buy tickets. For the first time in his life, Miguel boarded an airplane, gazing out the window at the clouds, unaware that his voice would soon echo far beyond his city, across oceans, and into the hearts of millions. His dream was not just to perform but to make the world smile, carrying with him the spirit of Davao wherever he went. The lights inside the Grand Theater of America's Got Talent were dazzling, far brighter than anything little Miguel Santos had ever seen in his life. As he stepped out onto the massive stage, dressed neatly in a white shirt paired with a traditional Philippine vest his mother had carefully ironed, his tiny frame seemed almost swallowed by the vastness of it all. The crowd hushed, waiting, while Miguel nervously gripped the microphone with both hands. His heart pounded so loud he thought the judges might hear it. Simon Cowell leaned forward, curiosity etched on his face, and asked in his familiar voice, "What's your name, and where are you from?" Miguel took a deep breath, his accent gentle yet proud, and answered, "My name is Miguel Santos, and I came all the way from Davao City, Philippines." The audience erupted into warm applause, touched by the courage of such a small boy standing on the world's biggest talent stage. Simon's brows lifted slightly, intrigued, while Heidi Klum smiled encouragingly. Sofia Vergara leaned in with interest as Miguel continued, his voice trembling with innocence, "I can do impressions of animals. They are my friends." A ripple of laughter spread across the room, not mocking but filled with anticipation. Simon gave a half-smile, raising his eyebrow as if to say, "Let's see what you've got." Miguel closed his eyes for a second, blocking out the bright lights, remembering his mother's words, "Make them smile." He inhaled deeply and then released a sound so powerful, so startling, it shook the theater. The roar of a lion filled the air, echoing with such authenticity that some audience members jumped in their seats. For a split second, silence hung heavy, and then the crowd erupted into astonished gasps and wild applause as Simon's eyes widened in genuine shock. The theater quickly transformed into a jungle as little Miguel Santos shifted seamlessly from one animal impression to the next. After the lion's roar faded, he tilted his head and released the high-pitched squawk of a parrot so perfectly that people in the audience glanced upward, convinced a bird had somehow flown inside the theater. Laughter rippled across the room, mixed with gasps of amazement. Miguel then dropped to his knees, cupping his hands around his mouth, and barked with such accuracy that even a service dog in the crowd perked up its ears, causing the entire audience to roar with laughter. Each sound carried the same life and sharpness as the real creature, making it almost impossible to believe it came from the voice of an 8-year-old boy. Heidi Klum covered her mouth in disbelief, her eyes wide with excitement, while Sofia Vergara leaned back in her chair, shaking her head as if to say, "How is this even possible?" Miguel, encouraged by their reaction, added a playful twist. He scratched his head and let out the rapid chattering of a monkey, hopping a little as if he truly were in the treetops. The crowd exploded in cheers, standing on their feet, clapping, laughing, and whistling. Simon Cowell, who had begun the act with a skeptical smile, was now fully leaning forward, laughing along with the audience. He turned to the other judges and said, "This is unbelievable. Close your eyes, and you would think you're in the middle of the rainforest." Miguel's confidence bloomed with every cheer. The same boy who once performed for neighbors outside his small wooden house in Davao was now captivating thousands in America, carrying his city's spirit proudly on a stage he never imagined he would stand on. The moment Miguel finished his final impression, the theater exploded with cheers so loud they seemed to shake the stage beneath his feet. Audience members rose instantly, clapping, whistling, and shouting his name as golden lights bathed the room. Miguel stood frozen, clutching the microphone, his wide eyes glistening with tears. For a boy who once performed on the dusty streets of Davao, the sound of thousands rising to their feet was almost too much to believe. Sofia Vergara leaned forward first, smiling warmly as she said, "Miguel, I don't think I've ever seen anything this unique. You are amazing." The crowd roared in agreement. Heidi Klum placed her hand over her heart, her voice trembling with excitement as she added, "You made us so happy tonight. You're only 8 years old, and already you have such an incredible gift." Miguel lowered his head shyly, his cheeks burning, but he couldn't stop smiling. Then, all eyes turned to Simon Cowell, the judge everyone waited for. He sat still, his face unreadable, studying Miguel for a long pause that seemed to stretch forever. The audience grew quiet, holding its breath. Finally, Simon leaned closer, his voice softer than usual, and said, "Miguel, I wasn't expecting this at all. What you just did was extraordinary. You're not just talented, you're original, funny, and you brought joy to every single person in this theater tonight." Miguel's lips quivered as tears streamed down his face. In the audience, his mother clasped her hands to her mouth, overwhelmed with emotion. And then Simon reached forward and slammed the golden buzzer. Instantly, a shower of golden confetti rained down, covering Miguel in sparkling light. The audience screamed, the judges clapped, and Miguel stood in awe, his dream turning into reality before the entire world's eyes. Back in Davao City, the night sky glowed faintly with stars as neighbors crowded together around small televisions and phones, waiting to watch the boy they all knew as the cheerful child who once entertained them in the streets. When the broadcast of Miguel's golden buzzer moment aired, cheers erupted through the narrow alleys. Children clapped their hands, elders wiped away tears, and street vendors paused their work to catch a glimpse of their hometown hero. For many, it was surreal to see the same boy who once imitated barking dogs in the neighborhood now standing on the grand stage of America's Got Talent, showered in golden confetti. His mother, still emotional even in recorded interviews, told reporters, "I always believed Miguel's voice could make people happy. Now the whole world knows it too." That night, Davao felt united in joy, celebrating not just Miguel's success, but the pride of their city shining globally. Newspapers called him, "the boy with the jungle inside his voice," while social media across the Philippines filled with posts of admiration, declaring him a national treasure. For Miguel, the journey was overwhelming yet simple in his heart. He only wanted to spread smiles, just as he did at home. In every interview, when asked about his dream, he answered with the same innocence. "I just want people to feel happy when they hear me." His story became more than a talent show act, it was a symbol of hope, proving that even from the humblest streets, greatness can rise. Teachers began telling their students, "Look at Miguel, dream big, and never be afraid." From Davao to the world, Miguel's animal voices carried a message louder than any roar: no dream is too small, and no child too ordinary to shine.